There is a small brown envelope sitting in my kitchen drawer. Plain, worn at the edges, my name written on it in handwriting I recognize immediately. My father gave it to me on the morning I left for college. Not at the airport, not at the car, at the kitchen table before anyone else was awake. He placed it in front of me with a cup of tea and said, "Everything I know about money is in that envelope. I should have given this to you 10 years ago. But I did not know it 10 years ago. I learned it watching you grow up and making mistakes I did not want you to repeat." Inside, a single folded piece of paper. 10 handwritten rules. No explanation, no workings out, just 10 lines. I read it in 2 minutes. I have been understanding it ever since. Zara Williams is 32 years old. She is a teacher in Birmingham, Alabama. She earns $44,000 a year. She has no credit card debt. She owns a small rental property that generates passive income. She has 18 months of expenses saved. She is not rich by any dramatic definition, but she is free in a way that most people her age simply are not. None of this happened by accident. It happened because of Joseph Williams, her father. Joseph was a postal worker for 31 years. He never earned more than $52,000 in a single year. He had no finance degree, no financial advisor, no inheritance. But he had made enough money mistakes in his 20s that by his 30s, he became obsessed with one question. What do I wish someone had told me when I was young enough for it to have mattered? He wrote down the answers, one at a time, over years, in the margins of receipts and on the backs of envelopes and in a small notebook he kept in his truck. Then, when Zara was old enough to sit still for 5 minutes, he started teaching her. Not with lectures, not with textbooks, with ordinary moments in an ordinary life, the grocery store, the car ride home, the kitchen table on a Tuesday evening. 10 rules, passed down one at a time between a father and his daughter. Here are all 10 of them. Rule 1. Money is a tool, not a measure of your worth. Zara, at age 7. Joseph is driving Zara home from school. She asks why their car is older than her friend Priya's family's car. Joseph does not deflect. He does not apologize. He pulls the car over, and turns to face her. He says, "Money buys things." That is all it does. It does not make Priya better than you or you better than Priya. A hammer is a tool. It builds things when you use it right. Money is exactly the same. And then he says, the people who treat money as a tool build things. The people who treat it as a scorecard spend their whole lives playing a game they can never win. Zara does not fully understand this at 7. But 25 years later, when her colleagues are buying cars and clothes to signal success they do not yet have, she understands exactly what her father meant. She is not in the race. She is building. Rule 2. Always spend less than you earn. Protect the gap. Zara, at age 8. The first time Zara receives pocket money, Joseph immediately produces 3 envelopes. Spend, save, give. Every dollar that comes into your hands, some goes here, some goes here, some goes here, not most of it. Some, every single time. The habit is more important than the amount. Zara groans at 8, but she does it. She does it at 18 with her first paycheck, at 23 with her first salary, at 32 with her teacher's income and her rental income. The envelopes changed. The formula never did. The gap between what comes in and what goes out is not what is left over at the end of the month. It is what you protect first before the month begins. Rule 3. Debt borrowed for things that lose value costs you twice. Zara, at age 9. Zara wants a bicycle. She is $50 short. Joseph lends her the $50, but he charges her $60 back. Zara is furious. Joseph says, "That is debt. You borrowed $50, you paid $60. That extra $10 bought you nothing. It went to me for doing you a favor. When you borrow from a bank, that extra money goes to them. For years, on things you may not even own anymore." Zara feels the $10 deeply at 9 years old. It is not a large amount, but it is real. She can touch the bicycle and feel the extra cost simultaneously. She has carried that feeling into every borrowing decision she has made as an adult. Not as fear, as clarity. Debt has a cost, and that cost is always higher than it looks at the beginning. Rule 4: invest early, because time is the engine, not money. Zara, at age 10. Joseph opens a small custodial investment account and deposits $50. He sits with Zara at the kitchen table and draws a graph on a piece of paper. He says, "If this $50 grows at 10% every year, by the time you are my age, it will be over $1,000. You added nothing. Time did the work." He draws a second line beside the first, dramatically lower. That is what happens if we wait 10 years to start. Same money, different timing, completely different result. Time cannot be bought back. Money can always be earned back. Time cannot. Zara understands this at 10. Not fully, but enough. At 22, the year she got her first teaching job, she opened a Roth IRA before she paid her first month's rent, because time was already running, and she had learned at 10 that every year she waited was a year she could never get back. Rule 5: your first salary teaches you a habit. Decide what that habit will be before you earn it. Zara, at age 11. Zara earns her first money babysitting a neighbor's children. $20. Joseph sits with her before she earns a cent. He says, "Before the money comes, decide what happens to it." The people who decide after the money arrives almost never save anything, because the money is already in their hand and their hand wants to spend. Decide now, before you can feel it. Zara decides before her first job begins. 20% to her savings envelope, 10% to her give envelope, the rest to spend. She has never changed this formula. She has only ever increased the percentage. The habit she built with $20 of babysitting money at 11 is the exact same habit that runs her finances at 32 on a combined income that is substantially higher. The amount changed. The decision before the money arrived never did. Rule 6: know the difference between an asset and a liability before you are old enough to buy one. Zara, at age 12. Joseph drives Zara past a modest house in their neighborhood, a for rent sign in the window. He slows down. That house puts money in the owner's pocket every single month. That is an asset. Our car takes money out of my pocket every month. Insurance, fuel, maintenance, depreciation. That is a liability. Your job in life is to slowly and deliberately collect things in the first category and minimize things in the second. Zara is 12, and she is looking at a rental property on a Tuesday afternoon. At 28, she buys her first rental property, a small 2-bedroom on the edge of town. She rents it within 3 weeks. The passive income covers more than the mortgage. The car she drives is 7 years old and paid off. She still thinks about that for rent sign. Rule 7: your environment shapes your money habits more than your willpower ever will. Zara, at age 13. Joseph notices that Zara's new group of friends spends freely, every weekend, every dollar, no saving, no thinking, just spending. Because spending is what you do when you have money and you are 13. He does not ban her from her friends. He sits with her instead. I am not telling you these are bad people. I am telling you that whatever is normal in your environment will feel normal to you. If everyone around you spends everything, spending everything will feel right. If the people closest to you invest and build, that will feel right. You get to choose your environment. Most people never realize that. At 24, Zara makes a quiet, deliberate choice. She does not abandon her friends, but she becomes intentional about who she spends the most time with. She seeks out people who are building things, talking about building things, thinking about building things. The environment Joseph described at her kitchen table at 13 becomes something she actively designs at 24. Not because she is extraordinary, because she was told at 13 that she could. Rule 8: never make a permanent financial decision in a temporary emotional state. Zara, at age 14. Zara wants to spend her entire savings on a school trip that most of her class is going on. She is emotional. She is 14. She wants to go more than she has ever wanted anything. Joseph does not say no. He says, wait 48 hours. If you feel exactly the same way in 48 hours, the trip is something you genuinely want. If the feeling shifts, it was just a feeling. And feelings are very expensive to fund. She waits. She still wants to go. Joseph helps her go without emptying her savings. The 48-hour rule becomes one of the most used tools in Zara's adult financial life. She uses it before buying cars, before booking holidays on impulse, before any purchase that lives at the edge of emotion and desire. She has never calculated what this single rule has saved her over a lifetime of adult decisions. She knows the number would be significant. Rule 9. Give consistently, because generosity changes your relationship with money. Zara at age 15. You have been putting 10% into your give envelope your whole life, Joseph says one afternoon. Do you know why? Zara shakes her head. Because the person who gives consistently, regardless of how much they have, never develops the relationship with money that destroys people. Hoarding, fear, the feeling that there is never enough. Giving teaches you that money flows, that it comes back, that you are larger than the number in your account. He pauses. Generosity is not charity. It is a financial habit that changes who you are with money. Zara has given 10% her entire adult life, not because she has excess, because Joseph taught her that giving is not what you do when you finally have enough. It is what you do to become someone who always will. Rule 10. Your financial education is your responsibility. The world will not give it to you. Zara at age 16. The last conversation. I have taught you 9 things, Joseph says. Here is the 10th and the most important. Nobody is going to continue this education for you. Not your school, not your employer, not the bank, not the government. They all have reasons to keep you financially ordinary. Your job, from this point forward, is to keep learning every year. One new financial concept, one better habit, one step further than where you were the year before. That is all it takes. Zara takes this seriously at 16. She is still taking it seriously at 32. She reads, she listens, she asks questions of people who know things she does not yet know. She is not chasing expertise. She is chasing 1% better each year. That commitment, begun at 16 at a kitchen table in Birmingham, is the invisible infrastructure beneath every financial decision she has made as an adult. Zara is sitting at her own kitchen table. Early morning, before anyone else is awake. In front of her, a small brown envelope, a folded piece of paper, a pen. Her daughter is 7 years old, the same age Zara was when Joseph pulled the car over on the way home from school and explained what money actually was. She writes the 10 rules down, in her own handwriting, for her own daughter. She folds the paper, slides it into the envelope, writes her daughter's name on the front, and she puts it in the kitchen drawer, where it will wait for the right moment. Joseph is 71 now. He still drives his paid-off car. He still has 3 envelopes on his kitchen counter. He has never earned more than $52,000 in a year. He is one of the wealthiest people Zara has ever known, not because of what he accumulated, because of what he passed on. There is a child in your life right now, a son or a daughter, a niece or a nephew, a student, a neighbor, someone young enough that the things you tell them will become the way they see the world. You now have 10 rules. You do not need a worn notebook. You do not need Sunday dinners or car rides or special occasions. You just need 5 minutes and the willingness to start. Because the best time to teach a child about money is when they are young enough to believe everything you tell them. And that window, however wide it feels right now, does not stay open forever.